All right, y'all, I'm here. I'm back with another review. So, Manifest episode 3. Like I said, I'll be back later on tonight for episode 4, okay? So, we got Vance, okay? Vance is in this room, okay? He's getting questioned left and right. Come to find out, he's being questioned by the NSA. Pretty much about, like, where his whereabouts was, why he faked his death and all of this. And he was like, I mean, that's actually not, like, a whole crime. And I really wish that y'all would, like, hurry the fuck up because my wife is waiting for me. So, let's hurry this up, okay? So then we switch over and we got Michaela, Ben, and Jared. They're all downstairs in the basement, you know, where all of the 828 information is. And, you know, they're talking about Catherine Fitz. That's her name, Catherine Fitz, who is missing. And, you know, about how her daughter came in. And Jared is like, look, I'm gonna go talk to, I forgot what he went to go talk to Doc about, but I think because he was like, Ben was like, you know, Catherine Fitz was acting like she was, a real therapist for Doc, so maybe you should go and talk to her. So he said, I'm gonna go do that. Of course, Ben is like losing his mind because his family is not there. I mean, Olive is there, but his wife is not there, and his son and his other child is not there. And it's like, I have to hurry up and get these meth heads and get them up out of here because I need my family. And Michaela is just telling him like, you need to slow down, which Ben does. Like, I need Ben to literally take some time off. I also would like to know, I know that they don't talk about this, but I would like to know, how are Ben and Grace maintaining financially? I know that has nothing to do with anything, but Ben doesn't go to work and it doesn't seem like Grace does. So I'm like, did they get like a huge settlement or something like that from the flight 828? And maybe that's the money that they're sitting on, but I really would like to know. I'm sorry, y'all, hold on. Only thing I drink is water. That's the only thing I drink. I can't even drink no soda. It's not good to me. Yeah, so I've that's one of the main things I've been wondering about, and maybe they've touched on that already, but I would like to know if y'all can tell me in the comments. Maybe I missed it. How are they like financially like maintaining their house and their bills when Ben is running around doing all of this stuff and Grace has to hop around and move around with her kids so much? That's just a small little thing I would like to know. So then we go over to Kyle. You know, they're back at the house. Of course, I told y'all last episode, I ain't really getting too deep into it, but of course Tariq forgave. Well, I don't want to say he forgave, but he let them in the house. So Kyle is out in the back and he sees a peacock, okay? And then after that, we go the very next scene after Kyle sees the peacock, we see Ben, and Ben has a picture of a peacock on his wall. And so around that, right after we shift over to that, Ben ends up having a calling. Now his calling is, he's in this room and it's like kind of like an earthquake or something. Like the whole room just starts shaking, stuff start falling left and right. And then he gets a flash of a young black man, like a teenager, laying on like the ground or whatever. It seems like he's in pain, like he needs help or whatever. So of course he's like, we got to figure this out. And after he's done having that calling, like a, what is it, a poster? Was it a poster? Something off of like his board that was up fell down, and it was a picture of Egan, who was another person that was on a flight. So he was like, what you got to do with this? We about to go see. So hold on to that little information, okay? So then we get to Michaela, and Michaela is interviewing one of, you know, the meth heads, the guy with the long blonde hair, okay? And, you know, he was like, what did he say? He was like, I'm supposed to meet her. Like, we're supposed to meet, talking about him and Angelina. Like, I don't know what our connection is, but it's something that's going on between us. Like, I don't know, but, you know, until I get to talk to her or see her, pretty much he don't want nothing to do. So he gets asked to get put back in his cell. So he does. Now, when Michaela leaves the interview room, she kind of gets, not necessarily a calling, because Jared thought it was a calling too. He was like, oh, you get another one? She was like, no, it's like I can hear Evie's heart. And if y'all watch the first season, y'all know who Evie is. And so she's trying to deal with that. So then we get to Kyle, and Kyle calls Olive about the peacock. And, you know, this episode kind of mirrors like Kyle and Olive's brother and sister relationship versus Grace and Tariq's, and how it's like, you know, different. And, you know, just the parallels between both of them. So Ben ends up going to see Egan, okay? Egan is out in the park playing 4 different people on timed chess. Let me tell y'all something. As a kid, because I was born and raised in New York City, all the way up until I was like 11 or 12. One of my favorite things in the whole wide world was going to the park and seeing the old men play chess like with the timers, because I just thought it was amazing. I just thought it was amazing. So that's a fun time to me. So he's talking to Egan, and he was like, oh, so let me guess, you got the little vision or whatever it is too. He was like, Ben was like, so you know about the vision? He was like, don't we all know about the visions? Like, I mean, I ain't about to sit up here and call you and try to talk to you about it, but yeah, I get it too. I'm not the only person. I mean, no, he said, I know for a fact I get it, and I don't really want to sit down and talk about it with nobody. And he pretty much talked about how when he got back, which the number one thing kind of like that with me watching Manifest, it kind of reminds me of a little bit, is because I just recently, like I want to say in the past month or so, I just went through every single Marvel movie like in order, because that's how they have it set up on Disney Plus. And I'm thinking about possibly doing a review to, even though I know it's, oh no, never mind, there's no point, because the Winter Soldier and Falcon is going off, so there's no point in me doing a review to that. But it reminds me of the blip pretty much. Like, y'all know the blip happened at the end game, and everybody was gone for 5 years. That's kind of what it reminds me of, like him talking about, well, I came back to know this, know that, know this, know that, or whatever. So I just decide I'm just gonna go in the park and make money how it is that I can make money. So whatever. So then we go over to Michaela. Michaela goes to Beverly's house to go and check on her, and when she gets there, Beverly is on the floor, like just kind of repeating the same thing over and over and over again. She turns around, she goes into the room to look for Glenn. Glenn is dead on the floor. Not on the floor, on the floor. He's dead on the floor, okay? So then Ben, what did Ben go see the doc for? I can't even remember. I didn't put it down. But Ben did go see the doc, but I can't remember what for. I wish I took better notes on that. So let's move on. Jared ends up coming to the house, to Beverly's house. He has Zeke with him, and Michaela was like, how did y'all two hook up? He was like, I got the call, and me and him just so happened to be in the same spot, so I figured you would want him. I'm really here for Jared, like, being mature about this whole situation and realizing, like, we did have a thing. Yes, she was my fiance, but she's married now. It's time to move on. I really fuck with Jared. That's why that's my baby daddy, y'all. That's why that's my baby daddy, and y'all don't even know. Y'all don't even know, okay? So come to find out, Glenn had a heart attack, and I'm sorry, but I don't even really know how much I believe that story. I feel like there's more to play than just, oh, he had a heart attack. I think something else happened, but that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe he just had a heart attack. So then we go over to the house or whatever, where Grace is and the kids. So Tariq and Grace are talking, and Kyle ends up coming inside, and Tariq is like, hey, what did you see? He's like, I seen a peacock. And he was like, he's like, so I've lived out here this whole time. I've never seen a peacock. Maybe you seen like a flamingo, or maybe you seen like a lawn, ornament or something like that. And he was like, no, I seen a peacock. So he ends up leaving out and going into the room, and Tariq is just like, I don't like, what did Grace say? Grace was pretty much was like, do you want to ease up on him? Like, he's going through a lot or whatever. And Tariq was like, well, he's too old to be lying. And Grace is like, he's not lying. Like, don't call my kid a liar. He's not lying. So I'm feeling like, Grace, you might as well just go ahead and tell Tariq what the hell is going on. Like, if you go and keep I get it that this is like a real sensitive situation, but I feel like if you asking all of this of your brother after, like he said, as we'll get there, after not being there and stuff like that. And okay, we could talk about it, because Tariq pretty much was mad and was like, you was gone for 11 years, and for 11 years I had to stay here and take care of daddy by myself. I had to carry him up. I had to like help him when he was coughing the blood. I had to be the one to go down there and help get the restaurant together, and you just disappeared. So of course Tariq is still feeling some type of way, and I feel like Grace, at the bare minimum, like, I feel like she should tell him what's going on, because if you need his help as much as you do, and you're using him, in my opinion, the way that you are, you should at least give him the benefit of the doubt of telling him what the hell he's getting wrapped into. So then we go over, so Olive, I'm not going to really talk too much about Olive and Angelina, but Olive and Angelina pretty much went to go see this guy who like deals with like Egyptian artifacts, because they had something else like that was like that, and they needed to like piece it together and figure out what it meant. So that was pretty much their entire storyline. I ain't going to really talk about them too much. So Ben and Egan sit down and they talk, and they're kind of comparing like what their callings was. Egan didn't see the boy on the floor, but he did see like pretty much everything else that he's seen. So they're pretty much trying to piece it together and figure out what's going on, okay? Vance is still being questioned at this point, and at this point he's getting aggravated. Honestly, I get it. Like, I did all of this stuff for y'all, which I'm sorry. Let's go back to the most recent episode of Winter Soldier and the Falcon. This is exactly what it reminded me of when uh the fake Captain America went into his little, meeting with the Senate or whoever the hell it was, the US government, and they pretty much were stripping him of his title of being Captain America. What he said is facts, and I feel like it applies to Vance too. Y'all created me. I'm only doing what it is that y'all told me to do, and now I'm doing that, or I did that, and now I'm getting punished for it. I'm not even getting no type of leeway, and I feel like that's where Vance was coming from. Like, y'all told me to handle the case, right? So I'm doing it the way it is that I feel like I need to, and now y'all want to sit up here and penalize me for it. Don't got time for that. This is why the US government is trash. Trash. Okay? So let me see where we at. While they're at Beverly's house, they end up finding some DVDs, that's of, Michaela and Evie when they were younger. So they're in the living room watching that. And while they're watching that, Zeke sees underneath, like, I don't know, some little structure, whatever the fuck it's called, a bookcase or something, that there is a DVD that's kind of poking out, and it says for Michaela. So we'll get there in a second. So then Ben and Egan, after talking, because they were pretty much trying to figure out, like, I don't know, these people are really, really smart, because I wouldn't have figured out any of this. I just would have been lost in the sauce. They figure out that it's like the building that they seen was like reflecting off of some type of water. So now it's like, okay, well, what buildings is all by waters? Now, thankfully, Egan is a courier, so he pretty much knows, or he was at one point in time, so he knows where all of the buildings are in New York. And he was like, well, there's so many buildings that's by the water, how are we supposed to figure it out? And then they end up figuring out that, like, it was like a museum, but it was like a storage place. So he was like, I think I know where it's at. So they head out over there. So when we go back to Beverly's house, and Zeke puts in the DVD that says it was for Michaela, it's Glenn pretty much saying, hey, if you get this, that means that I've died. We love you, Michaela. You being back in our lives has pretty much been like Evie being back in our lives, and I have it set up for Beverly to go to an assisted living home, because y'all know I think she has like Alzheimer's. He was like, but this house is yours. And like everybody else, Zeke said, did he just give you a house? And she said, no, he just gave us a house because they're married. I'm like, girl, I wish I could just get a house that easily. I mean, I wouldn't want it like that, but at the same time, I wish I could get a house like that. What? I know she was like, what? Or she actually was like, what? And so we go back over to Ben and Egan, okay? And they get to the building, and they're like, okay, well, maybe the guy's like homeless, because there's like a whole lot of homeless people around. So they end up like sneaking in the building through like some vent or whatever. Now when they get there, the call-ins like start getting a whole lot stronger. Now originally I think they went to a room that was called 601, but when they get there, there's nobody there. And once they get to 601, that's when the building actually literally starts shaking all crazy. So he's like, maybe it's not that. Maybe it's like, I think he said maybe it's 109. So they run upstairs, go to 109. The building's shaking all crazy. They find the little black boy. They pick him up, starting to get him out of here. Now at this point, Egan is like, I'm like, y'all go ahead and head out. I'm going to go down to where, I don't know, I guess the gas is, so I can turn that off. And he was like, what are you doing? He was like, you said we got to follow the call-ins, right? So I got to go and follow the call-ins. I got to do what I got to do, because there could be other people in this building. So he ends up leaving to go and shut off the pipes while Ben is trying to get the guy out of the building, okay? So we go back over to Beverly's house, and at this point, Beverly is kind of like freaking out, you know what I mean? Because it's just like a lot of changes going on, and she's just confused, and it makes me so sad, because my great grandma had Alzheimer's, one of my great aunts have Alzheimer's. It's like, that's a hard thing to watch somebody go through, because it's literally nothing that you can do. It is so, it'll take a toll on you. So while that's happening, while she's kind of like freaking out, about where Glenn is and where Evie is, Zeke gets this like feeling, like you can, when the camera pans in on him, it's kind of like the camera like kind of shakes a little bit, like on the outside of him. And so he goes to Beverly, and he's like, look, like, don't worry, I understand that you're confused, you're scared. So he goes and sits her down, and he's like, well, the best way to kind of deal with things like this is to maybe try to find something that can comfort you. She ends up finding this necklace that says brave on it, and so ain't that what it said? Yeah, it said brave on it. And so when she pulls that out, something clicks for Michaela, because when she was talking to Jace, I think the guy name is, when she was interviewing him, he said something about she was so brave. So she was like, I'm going to head out, but I'll be back. Now, I want to pause on this for a second, because on my last review, I talked about how when Zeke went to go see the doc, how even she said, I've been around people this whole past couple weeks, and not one person has noticed that something was wrong with me, but you did. And even Michaela said to him, how did you know how to do that? He said, it's just a feeling. Y'all tell me, what do y'all think that is? Like, what is going on with Zeke? Like, does he just have, because he doesn't have callings anymore, is it just like a divine sense of how to calm people? I don't know, but I'm very interested in figuring out what the hell is going on with Zeke. Because also, now that I think about it, let's go back to the first episode when he acted like he passed out to help Michaela get out of the bathroom so she could go find the guy. And she asked her, she said, how did you know? And he just said, I had a feeling. Woo, it's all connected. It's all coming full circle. No, y'all, not on some real shit, that really just hit me. What is going on with Zeke? Something is going on with him, and we gonna figure it out. That's so crazy. That's crazy, man. That's insanity. That just blew my mind a little bit, okay? So then we go back over to Tariq and Grace, and they're still kind of going back and forth. Now, come to find out, they didn't have the same daddy, because she said, I should have helped you with your father, and I didn't. But she never said her father. So I'm gonna assume maybe his dad helped raise her or something like that, but she didn't say my father. She said his father, whatever. But she did apologize, and she said the reason why she pretty much disappeared is because Kyle had leukemia when he was 6. And he was like, oh my gosh, is he okay? And she was like, yeah, he's been in remission for a year now. So there was just a lot going on. It wasn't really nothing personal to you. I just really had to focus on my family. And Tariq is just like, you know what? They can pretty much come to a resolve. He's like, I just wish I could have been there for you. So they kind of got a little bit of resolve there. So Michaela ends up getting, his name is not Jace, it's Pete. I don't know why I have Jace, because Jace is maybe Jace is another one of them. I really can't get the meth head's name straight, but that's why I'm gonna keep calling them meth heads, because that's how everybody else keep referring to him. But I believe his name is Pete, because that's what I have here. So Michaela ends up getting Angelina to go and see Pete. Now, earlier in the episode, Angelina says to Olive, I don't know why I keep having this weird feeling that I want to see this guy that's in jail. I don't know why. So she ends up going to see him, and they just have a really quick moment, which I guess we'll figure out later. She was like, I feel like I'm supposed to help you. I don't know why, but that's what I feel. Which, that's what everybody who's on flights or anything like that, or has this situation going on, feels. So then we go over to the police department, and Catherine Fitz's daughter comes in, okay? And Jared pretty much tells her, he said, look, your mom was in some wild shit. And she was like, what you mean? Torturing, abduction. She was into some real wild stuff. So to be quite honest, I don't really know what's going on. And her daughter is like, I mean, I understand that, but she stole my mom, and I just want somebody to find her. So you don't know where she is. And Jared's like, no, but I just want to let you know that pretty much the road we about to go down is not the best one, because your mama was in some real weird shit, and her mom was a bitch, absolutely. So yeah. So then we go back over to Vance, and at this point, they're pretty much kind of done interrogating him. His old partner comes in, and another lady comes in, and they're pretty much like, look, we want you to retake the case of 828. And he's like, well, what about Catherine Fitz or whatever? He was like, she was found dead. Okay, she was found dead. So because of that, you can have the case back if you want it. And Vance was like, I don't want it. I wouldn't want it either. All of this nonsense that y'all putting me through when I was trying to do my job, and now y'all want me to take it. Absolutely not. And so his partner was like, well, what if I show you something that I know for a fact is going to change your mind? He's like, all right, man, whatever. So, let's go back to the building where Ben is at, right? So Ben ends up getting the guy out. He gets the guy out of the building, and when he gets out there, he sees Egan. Egan comes around. He was like, "Okay, yeah, I'm here. What's up?" And so he was like, like, we need to stick together. We need to figure out what's going on. And Egan's like, "Nope, I hear the police coming, and he already been doing some shady ass shit." Egan, so he was like, "I gotta get up out of here," and so he ends up dipping off. Real quick, fast, in a hurry. So Ben ends up taking Caleb home. When Caleb, I'm sorry, I'm saying Caleb like y'all know who Caleb is. Caleb is the young black boy. That's his name that he saved. So he ends up taking Caleb home. His mom opens the door and he was like, "I'm sorry." He apparently ran away. He was like, "I'm sorry for running away. That's not what I meant to do. But this guy Ben, he pretty much saved my life." So she was like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you so much." When they close that door and Caleb comes in that house, his mama says, "Don't worry about it, babe. You can come out now. It's fine. It's just your brother." Tell me why. It's the black meth head. Manifest. How are y'all Y'all blew my mind. That was a gotcha moment because I did not expect that. At this point, I should, but I didn't. That was a whole gotcha moment. Bitch, he was there. That's his brother. That is how he missed the calling. Like, he got it, but he missed it. Damn, Ben, you was like this fucking close, this damn close. So we get back over to Beverly's house, and they pretty much, like, the people that was going to take her to the assisted living came to come and get her, but Beverly is kind of like freaking out, as she should, as I understand why she would be. And Michaela just can't take it. It's too much for her. She was like, just stop. We're gonna live here and we're gonna take care of her. Zeke is like, "Are you sure we can do that?" She was like, "I don't care. Like, I feel like that's what we need to do. That's what Evie will want. We need to stay here, and I don't care what we have to do. We gotta pay somebody, but we're gonna stay here and take care of her." And I'm very happy that they did that. I did not want them to send her away because of what Michaela said. Like, this is all that she knew. You know what I mean? And so if you have, I don't get mad at people that do that, because taking care of someone like that, it takes a lot. It really does. It takes a lot of mental, emotional. Like, right now, my grandmother is staying with her sister because of the fact that she has, like, problems remembering things, and it just takes a lot out of somebody. You know what I mean? It takes a lot. So I'm glad that she's gonna move in there and take care of her. So then Ben ends up going to where Olive was, where they was looking at, the artifact, and it's kind of like this big, I don't want to call this a map, but just kind of like this picture kind of, but at the very bottom left, it's like missing a piece, and it's, the piece that they need to find to kind of like put it all together. And so they're just trying to figure that the hell out. Okay, now Egan, we go back to Egan. Okay, Egan is at the pawn shop. Now Egan is out here pawning off, like, some of the things that they seen in their calling, which was like the urn, the turtle. Like, he's pawning that stuff out, and the pawn guy's like, "I know this shit's dirty because I can smell like the smoke on them, but fine, I'll give you $500 for it." So he gives it to him, and he was like, "I need to see ID." So when he shows him his ID, he doesn't show his picture, he just shows the name, and it's Ben's, because he took, I guess while he was with Ben, he took his little clip with his name and stuff on it. And so then he shows him that as identification. So he writes that down, and then he was like, "Oh, Mr. Ben, like, you left something in your urn." And what's in the urn, y'all? What's in the urn? The other freaking piece of the artifact that Olive and Ben is looking at. Y'all are killing me, Manifest. All of these pieces that's coming together, it better make sense by the end of this series, or I'm gonna be mad about it. Okay, so I was like, that's fucking crazy. All right, so then we go back to Kyle, and Kyle ends up actually physically getting one of the feathers from the peacock, because it like lands in like the backyard. So he picks it up and he's taking like a video of it, and he's sending it to Olive. Now while he's speaking about it, all of the other meth heads hear it, okay? Like, all of the other ones do. The black guy that's at home, he's like eating dinner, he hears it. The guy Pete, he hears it. And then the last guy we don't really see him, but he's in the RV, and you can see him like scratching out Michaela's eyes, scratching out Kyle's eyes. Like, he's just trying to get rid of all of them, okay? And so finally, the last scene is Vance is in the elevator with his partner or whatever. He's like, "Look, I'm about to show you some shit, and I know it's going to change your mind." They get into the elevator, go downstairs, like this Men in Black type of situation. The doors open up. Vance steps out. He was like, whoa. And I'm like, what you see? It cuts off. If it's the rest of Flight 828, I'm a snap. That's the only thing I can possibly think of that he could see that would make him want to stay is the rest of Flight 828. Or maybe not the whole thing, but bits and pieces of Flight 828. Because if the tail fin was found, you can't tell me that there wasn't other pieces of that plane that wasn't found either. And I really feel like that's what he's going to see. But y'all get in the comments. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Y'all tell me what y'all thought. This is such a good show. I'll be back later tonight to review the 4th episode. Bye.